somewhere in a drawer, hidden inside an old tin box or forgotten wallet. There may be a small 2.5 cents Eagles coin that people once ignored, but today, some collectors quietly search for it with surprising urgency. And if stories about rare coins and hidden value interest you, consider subscribing, because what looks ordinary at first can sometimes turn into something nobody expected. For many South Africans, the 2.5 cents Eagles coin is more than just loose change from the past. It carries memories of a different time, a slower time, a time when a few cents could still buy something meaningful, when coins rattled in trouser pockets, and when children counted small change on kitchen tables while parents spoke about saving every penny. At first glance, the coin does not appear special. It is small, modest, easy to overlook. Most people who find one believe it is worth almost nothing. In fact, many of these coins were pushed aside for decades, stored in jars, biscuit tins, and old cupboards without a second thought. Some were even thrown away during house cleanups because nobody imagined they could carry any serious value. But here is where the story becomes interesting. Not every 2.5 cents Eagles coin is the same. And that single detail has changed everything for certain collectors. Over the years, people began noticing tiny differences between some of these coins. Slight changes in condition, rare minting variations, unusual surfaces, missing details, off-center strikes, certain years that appeared less often than others. At first, these differences seemed unimportant until collectors started paying attention. And when collectors pay attention, prices can quietly begin to rise. Some ordinary-looking examples might only sell for a few rand. Others, depending on condition, could bring in a few hundred. That alone surprises many people because most never expected such a small coin to carry any value at all. But the deeper collectors looked, the stranger the market became. There are stories of elderly families discovering old coin envelopes hidden among documents after a relative passed away. Inside those envelopes were coins nobody had touched for 40 or 50 years. Dust-covered, forgotten, quietly waiting. In some situations, the owners nearly spent them or discarded them. Then a collector noticed something unusual. And suddenly, the conversation changed completely. One reason the 2.5 cents Eagles coin attracts attention is because of its design. The eagle itself gives the coin a sense of strength and identity. For older collectors especially, the image carries nostalgia. Some remember seeing these coins daily during their younger years without realizing that decades later, collectors would examine them under magnifying glasses searching for tiny details invisible to the ordinary eye. Now here is something many people never hear about. Condition changes everything. A heavily worn coin with scratches and fading may hold modest value. But a coin preserved in exceptional condition can enter a completely different category. Some collectors describe certain examples as almost frozen in time, with sharp detail, original shine, and barely any signs of circulation. And when one of those appears at certain auctions, interest can rise very quickly. This is where many viewers begin wondering about the coins sitting inside their own homes. Because most valuable discoveries do not happen in museums. They happen in ordinary houses, inside drawers, inside old purses, inside forgotten containers nobody opened for years. There have been stories of people finding rare coins while cleaning garages or sorting through belongings they almost donated. One man reportedly discovered an old coin collection while searching for family photographs. Another found several old cents wrapped inside newspaper from decades ago. At first, both believed the coins were worthless. But one detail changed their minds. A collector pointed out that certain mint years of the 2.5 cents Eagles coin appeared far less frequently than others. Suddenly, what looked common became far more interesting. And this is where the mystery deepens. Some collectors believe a very small number of these coins may contain rare production characteristics that were never intended to leave the mint. Tiny imperfections, slight differences in strike depth, unusual alignment, small errors that most people would never notice. To the average person, those differences mean nothing. To collectors, they can mean everything. Now, it is important to remain realistic. Not every 2.5 cents Eagles coin is valuable. Many remain affordable collector pieces with sentimental appeal rather than massive prices. But the reason interest continues growing is because nobody can fully predict when a rare version will surface. That uncertainty creates excitement, and excitement creates demand. In recent years, coin collectors around the world have become increasingly interested in forgotten coins from the past. Older collectors often say the hobby feels different now. Years ago, people collected for enjoyment and history. Today, some collectors also view rare coins as hidden assets, and that has caused older South African coins to receive renewed attention, especially coins connected to nostalgia and rarity. The 2.5 cents Eagles coin sits quietly inside that conversation. What makes this even more fascinating is how easily valuable coins can remain hidden. Unlike gold bars or jewelry, coins are small. They disappear into everyday life. A valuable coin can sit unnoticed for decades while families walk past it every single day. Imagine that for a moment. Something potentially valuable, sitting only a few meters away while nobody realizes it. That thought alone keeps many collectors searching. And there is another detail many people overlook. Cleaning a coin can actually reduce its value. This surprises many older viewers because the natural instinct is to polish old objects until they shine. But experienced collectors often prefer original surfaces, even if the coin looks aged. Harsh cleaning can remove important characteristics collectors want to see. In rare situations, a cleaned coin may lose a large portion of its collector appeal. That is why some people who discover old coins choose to leave them untouched until they speak with someone knowledgeable. Now, you may be wondering what kinds of values these coins have actually reached. At the lower end, common circulated examples may only attract small interest. Sometimes collectors purchase them simply to complete collections or revisit memories from childhood. But then things begin climbing. Coins with clearer details, stronger surfaces, and lower circulation can sometimes reach far more respectable amounts. Depending on condition and rarity, some examples have reportedly sold for hundreds or even thousands of rand. For many people, even that feels shocking. Because who expects a tiny forgotten coin to suddenly pay for groceries, or perhaps more? But the truly serious collectors do not stop there. They search for the rarest possible examples. And those are the coins that quietly create headlines inside collecting circles. Some collectors spend years hunting for a single specific variation. Others study tiny differences between lettering, eagle features, or mint marks. To outsiders, it may seem obsessive, but to dedicated collectors, these details separate ordinary coins from extraordinary ones. And every once in a while, somebody finds one. That possibility keeps the market alive. A retired gentleman once shared that he almost gave away a small group of old coins during a family cleanup. He believed they had no value at all. But before throwing them out, he decided to ask a collector friend for an opinion. One coin immediately stood out. Not because it looked beautiful, because it looked different. The alignment was unusual. The strike appeared slightly off. Certain details seemed weaker while others appeared unusually sharp. That coin reportedly attracted attention from multiple buyers after being evaluated. Moments like these are why people continue checking old collections. Because sometimes value hides inside the smallest details. And the deeper experts study older coins, the more mysteries appear. Some believe a limited number of exceptional 2.5 cents Eagles coins may have survived in near-perfect condition simply because they were stored and forgotten before circulation damaged them. Others believe a few unusual pieces escaped normal production standards entirely. Nobody knows exactly how many remain hidden. That uncertainty adds to the suspense. Now, if you have one of these coins at home, there are several things collectors often examine first: the year, the condition, the sharpness of the eagle design, any unusual coloring or striking patterns, and whether the coin appears different from standard examples. Sometimes, even a tiny variation can trigger major interest among specialists. But here is something important many people misunderstand. The highest values are extremely rare. Most coins will never reach extraordinary prices. However, extraordinary prices do exist. And that is what keeps people watching stories like this until the end. Because every collector dreams about discovering the one coin nobody expected. As the years pass, coins like the 2.5 cents Eagles continue disappearing from circulation and private hands. Some become damaged. Some are lost forever. Others remain hidden in collections that may not reopen for decades. That shrinking supply quietly increases curiosity. And curiosity can become powerful in collector markets, especially when nostalgia enters the picture. Older South Africans often remember handling these coins without thinking twice. They remember corner shops, old cash registers, small paper packets of sweets, taxi fares, simple moments connected to everyday life. Today, those memories themselves hold emotional value. And emotional value often drives collectors more strongly than logic. A coin is never just metal. It becomes a memory, a piece of history, a connection to another era. That emotional connection explains why some collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the right coin. They are not only buying an object, they are buying rarity, history, emotion, and the thrill of owning something few others possess. Now, there is another curiosity many viewers may not expect. Sometimes the rarest coins do not look rare at all. In fact, they can appear completely ordinary to untrained eyes. That means valuable pieces can easily pass from hand to hand unnoticed for years. Imagine inheriting a small container of coins from a parent or grandparent and discovering later that one tiny piece among them carried far greater importance than anyone realized. Stories like that happen more often than people think. And they continue happening because older generations frequently stored coins away without documenting what they had. Some collections were created casually over decades. A few coins here, a few coins there. Then life moved on. Years later, families rediscover them. And sometimes, hidden among common pieces, something unusual appears. This is why collectors encourage patience. Rushing can lead to mistakes. Spending old coins too quickly, cleaning them improperly, or dismissing them without proper examination. Now we arrive at the part of the story that surprises even experienced viewers. Over time, rumors began circulating inside collector communities about exceptionally rare examples of the 2.5 cents Eagles coin. These stories often involved coins with extraordinary preservation, highly unusual minting characteristics, or unique historical importance. At first, many dismissed these stories as exaggeration. But then certain auction conversations started changing minds. Private collectors reportedly began offering increasingly serious amounts for coins considered truly exceptional. Not ordinary circulated pieces, but the absolute best examples anyone had seen. And that is when whispers about enormous values began spreading. Not thousands, not even hundreds of thousands. Much more. Now, it is essential to remain grounded here. These situations are extremely rare. Most coins will never approach such figures. But in the world of elite collecting, Rarity combined with historical significance can create astonishing results. Some collectors compare it to art. Others compare it to rare watches or classic cars. When only a handful of examples exist in extraordinary condition, wealthy buyers sometimes compete fiercely. And competition can push prices beyond what ordinary people imagine possible. This is why certain collectors handle old coins with incredible care. They understand that condition, rarity, and authenticity can transform something tiny into something life-changing. And now comes the revelation that keeps many people searching through old collections late at night. In rare and exceptional cases, certain experts and collectors believe that a truly unique 2.5 cents Eagles coin, with extraordinary rarity, historical importance, and near-perfect preservation, could potentially reach values as high as $49 million at the highest levels of private collector interest. $49 million. For a coin many people once ignored. Just imagine hearing that while holding an old coin box that has sat untouched in your cupboard for decades. It almost sounds impossible. Yet the world of rare collectibles has repeatedly shown that small forgotten objects can become unbelievably valuable when rarity, history, and demand collide at the right moment. That does not mean every 2.5 cents Eagles coin is worth a fortune. Far from it. But it does mean one very important thing. People should stop assuming old coins are worthless. Because hidden among ordinary collections, there may still be pieces waiting to surprise everyone. And perhaps the most remarkable part of this story is how quietly these discoveries happen. No flashing lights. No dramatic treasure maps. Just ordinary people opening old drawers, sorting through family belongings, and suddenly realizing they may have overlooked something important for years. That possibility keeps collectors fascinated. It keeps families curious. And it keeps forgotten coins alive long after their original time has passed. So before you dismiss those old coins sitting at home, take another look. Check the dates. Examine the details. Notice the condition. You never know what may have been resting unnoticed inside your house all this time. And if you enjoy uncovering stories about hidden coins, rare discoveries, and forgotten treasures from the past, subscribe and stay connected, because the next valuable piece might already be much closer than anyone realizes. And there is one final thought that many experienced collectors quietly repeat to newcomers entering the world of old coins. The real danger is not losing a valuable coin. The real danger is never recognizing it in the first place. That may sound strange at first, but history has shown it many times. Valuable coins have been spent unknowingly at shops, traded away in small bundles, or left inside containers that were eventually discarded during house cleanups. Some people only discover years later that a coin they once owned had become highly desirable among collectors. And that realization can stay with a person for a very long time. What makes the 2.5 cents Eagles coin especially fascinating is that it still feels close to everyday life for many older South Africans. This is not some ancient treasure hidden in a museum behind glass. It is a coin many people remember touching with their own hands. A coin connected to ordinary memories, family routines, and simpler times. That emotional connection gives the story even more power. Because somewhere, right now, there may be someone watching this who already owns one without realizing it. Maybe it is resting inside an old leather wallet. Maybe it sits in a sewing drawer beside buttons and keys. Maybe it was inherited years ago and forgotten completely. And if that coin happens to contain one of the rare details collectors search for, the outcome could be very different from what anyone expected. This is why experienced collectors never rush when examining old coins. They take their time. They study every mark, every edge, every small detail. Sometimes the smallest difference becomes the biggest surprise. So tonight, Before you go to sleep, it may be worth opening that old box of coins one more time. Because hidden among those quiet pieces of history, there could be something extraordinary waiting to be discovered.